This is a quick explanation of entering wrapping materials and how they affect a couple different places in the designs. In the inventory and wrapping, when you enter your inventory item, the first two fields, which are thickness and width, are entered in inches, or they're in millimeters if you are using metric. The last field, however, length, is measured in feet or in meters, depending on which one you are using. Down at the bottom, the default section for purchasing or tracking level. Remember, your tracking level is simply another way of saying what unit of measure do you buy that product in. The default here is roll, and that way by selecting that, I'm entering my cost based on how much I pay per roll. I'm entering my weight paid per roll. Basically, you can enter any unit of measure as long as it's one that you use all the time, because you cannot change the tracking level or the purchasing method after you've used the item in a design. So by default, the unit of measure for wrapping materials is by roll. When you enter that, whatever the tracking level is, you make sure that this line is 1, okay? Because roll per unit measure is 1. If you change it to something else, different things that you'll have to be aware of. So we'll just go with the basic 1. We're not going to worry about any markup because these numbers here are only for when you sell this item outside of your crate. This whole section is what's sold outside of the crates directly from the inventory, and that's not what we're going over right now. Crate Pro uses the level A unit of measure, and through this entire inventory, you should not change whatever that unit of measure is in the level A field because there are underlying calculations. So Crate Pro is going to measure your wrapping materials by linear foot, okay, or by metric foot. It is not going to be by square meter or square foot. So now we need to tell Crate Pro how many feet are in your roll. Well, if it's doing it by linear foot, you would just take the number 1 divided by the length, whatever that number is, and then click anywhere in a gray area, and Crate Pro will automatically calculate how many feet there are in a roll. Do not forget to change this because, again, Crate Pro is using that level A unit of measure and that level A, how many feet per measure, to give you the correct cost. When you're looking at pricing applied to designs, to make sure you've got it correct, you can also change that markup to 0. And then this is showing you this is your cost per foot. Okay, that is your cost because that's our cost per roll. There's 250 feet in a roll, so 170 divided by 250 is going to come out to 68 cents per roll, and that's a good way. If you multiply it by 250, it'll come back to the 170, so you're double checking. Don't forget to put back in whatever your markup is, otherwise you will get no profit on that material when it's being used. In the design module, there's 3 places that you can enter a wrapping material: in the Packing Wrapping tab and in the Packing Other tab. In Packing Wrapping, when you select the wrapping, you can enter the layers thick. The amount that's being calculated is based on the content dimensions. So all wrapping materials are based on the content dimensions. Now, as an example, my content here is 45 by 45 by 45. The number defaults based on when you enter your inside dimensions. In the Preferences module, you set a clear area value. So Crate Pro will initially assume your inside dimensions minus that clear area. Oh, that must be your content. However, if that's wrong, you can, of course, change it in the design because your content isn't always going to be following that baseline. But I'm going to lock this. Okay? I'm going to go to Details and Materials tab, and I'm going to look at the bubble wrap, which shows up on line 5. So based on the size of my content, I would be using 22 linear feet, and then I'm going to be adding my waste factor that's in the inventory, and I come up to 27.5 feet or that much of a roll. Therefore, that's how much my cost is my wrapping. If we unlock it, and let's go back here to the packing, and we're going to change this. Let's just say I'm going to make it, we're going to get kind of extreme, 10 by 10 by 10. Whoops, 10, let's get a 10 in there. Okay, I'm going to lock it so it updates it. I'll go to the Details and Materials, and now when I look at my bubble wrap, I've only got 1 foot because, again, it's based on the size of the content. Going back to packing, let's go ahead and take that out. The other place that you can add it is right here in the Other. Make sure Wrapping is the category you have selected, and then you can pick your bubble wrap here. This indicates the number of pieces that you would make because you may not only have 1 piece, you may have couple pieces for this item in the content, a couple other content items that you're all putting in one crate. So you can specify your piece count here, and you can put in the notes. Now you need to enter the length, okay? You can enter a fraction. So I may enter, I want 4 feet, the width is 48 inches. So right now I am calculating one piece that's 4 feet by 48 inches wide. You can change it to 5 pieces, which are 4 feet by 48 inches wide. Okay. If you want to change this, you can also go half a foot by 48 inches wide, 5 pieces. When you do this, Crate Pro is measuring exactly what you are putting in here as far as how the wrapping is. The waste factor does not apply in the packing other. So you are going to get the exact amount that will be applied in the details tab. Okay, and here we go, materials, and here's our bubble wrap. That's exactly how much that we're using, and then again, there's the cost. There, a markup is still applied because a markup is applied on the entire order. So when you price it out, you will see the markup, but there is no waste factor for anything that is put into packing other. If when you are doing inventory, you're finding that your numbers are not coming out quite what you expect them to be, there are some questions, please make sure you go into the member support portal and give us a ticket, ask the question, or go into the forums and go ahead and ask the question, which then helps everybody.